The fluorescent lights of St. Catherine's Hospital emergency room buzzed overhead like angry wasps, each flicker sending a fresh spike of nausea through my already churning stomach. I pressed my palm against the cool tile wall of the staff corridor, breathing through my nose the way the pregnancy app had taught me, counting to 4 with each inhale. 4 months. I was 4 months pregnant, and nobody could know. My hand moved instinctively to my abdomen, where the smallest curve had begun to show beneath my scrubs. I'd started wearing a size larger 2 weeks ago to hide the change, layering my tops and keeping my movements careful to avoid drawing attention. The morning sickness, which was a cruel joke since it lasted all damn day, had finally started to ease in the past couple of weeks. But the bone-deep exhaustion remained my constant companion, making every 12-hour shift feel like running a marathon through quicksand. Riley, trauma too needs cleaning. Jen's voice cut through my moment of weakness. She didn't even glance at me as she rushed past, her arms full of fresh linens. Gunshot wound. Police are still processing the scene, but we need it ready for the next patient. I swallowed hard against the bile rising in my throat. Gunshot wound. Blood. The metallic scent that would cling to everything, that would make my stomach heave even on a good day. This was not a good day. I grabbed the cleaning cart from the supply closet, loading it with industrial-strength disinfectant that smelled like concentrated lemon and chemicals. The scent hit my nostrils and I had to turn away, breathing through my mouth, willing myself not to vomit right there in the hallway. You can do this, I told myself. You've done this 1,000 times. Just one more room. Just one more patient. Just one more day. That's what I'd been telling myself for 4 months. Ever since that night. Ever since him. I shoved the memory down deep where I kept all the things that hurt too much to examine. The way his hands had felt on my skin, reverent and possessive all at once. The sound of my name in his mouth, rough with desire. The morning after, when I'd woken alone in that hotel room with nothing but a note that said he'd had to leave for an emergency, and a phone number I'd been too proud to call. And then, 2 weeks later, seeing his face on the cover of a tabloid at the grocery store checkout. Roman Valenti, billionaire real estate mogul, with his arm around a stunning blonde in a designer dress. The headline, Valenti, heir to wed socialite, daughter of Senator Morrison. I'd bought the magazine with shaking hands, read every word of the engagement announcement, stared at the photos of them at some charity gala, looking perfect together. Old money and new power, the article said. A union that would reshape the city's political landscape. He'd been engaged, the entire time. When he'd touched me like I was precious, when he'd whispered things in Italian that made me shiver, when he'd looked into my eyes and made me believe, for one perfect night, that I was more than just another overworked nurse struggling to pay rent in a studio apartment with water damage and a landlord who ignored maintenance requests. I'd been nothing but a distraction, a one-night stand. Forgettable. Except I couldn't forget, and now I carried the evidence of that night inside me. The pregnancy test had been positive 10 weeks ago. I'd taken 4 more just to be sure, watching that second line appear with a mixture of terror and something else I couldn't quite name. I'd sat on the bathroom floor of my apartment until my legs went numb, trying to decide what to do. I couldn't contact him. Wouldn't. The man was engaged to be married, clearly living a life I had no part in. And I'd learned my lesson about men who made promises they didn't keep, about hoping for things that would never be mine. So I'd made a decision. I would do this alone. I'd done everything else alone since my parents died in a car crash when I was 19. I'd put myself through nursing school alone. I'd survived my first years in this brutal city alone. I could raise a baby alone too. Except some days, like today, when the exhaustion sat on my chest like a weight, and every smell made me want to vomit, I wondered if I'd made the right choice. If maybe I should have at least tried to tell him. If maybe... Riley! Jen's voice was sharp now, impatient. Trauma too. Now. I straightened my spine, pushed the cart forward, and entered the trauma bay. The room was exactly as bad as I'd expected. Blood on the floor, blood on the walls, blood seeping into the grout between tiles where it would be hell to clean. The coppery scent filled my nostrils and my stomach heaved violently. I barely made it to the biohazard bin before I vomited. Jesus, Riley, you okay? Jen appeared in the doorway, concern finally breaking through her usual efficiency. That's the third time this week. I'm fine, I gasped, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand. Just the smell. It's been getting to me lately. She studied me with narrowed eyes, and I saw the exact moment realization dawned. Her gaze dropped to my stomach, then back to my face. Riley, don't, I said sharply. Please, I can't talk about it. Not here, not now. She was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Okay, but you need to tell Dr. Martinez soon. You can't keep working trauma if you're... I know. I cut her off before she could say the word. I will, just... Not yet, and not until I'd figured out how to make this work. Not until I'd saved enough money to take maternity leave without losing my apartment. Not until I'd convinced myself that I could actually do this. I cleaned the trauma bay with mechanical precision, breathing through my mouth, focusing on the task rather than the nausea or the fear or the loneliness that threatened to swallow me whole. By the time I finished, my shift was nearly over. Just 2 more hours. I could make it 2 more hours. I was restocking the supply cart when I heard the commotion in the main corridor. Voices raised, urgent, and beneath it all, a tone of command that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I don't care about your protocols. A man's voice cut through the chaos. Deep, rough, with an accent that wrapped around certain words like a caress. My man needs the best surgeon you have, and he needs him now. That voice. No, it couldn't be. I turned slowly, my heart hammering against my ribs, and looked down the corridor toward the main desk. And there he was. Roman Valenti, in the flesh, looking exactly as devastatingly handsome as I remembered. Tall and broad-shouldered in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than I made in 3 months, his dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw, and those eyes, dark and intense, and currently locked on the unfortunate administrative nurse, trying to explain hospital procedures to him. He had 2 men with him, both built like professional fighters, both wearing expressions that suggested they'd be happy to enforce whatever their boss wanted. Mr. Valenti, the nurse was saying, her voice shaking slightly. I understand your concern, but all patients must be triaged according to... He was shot protecting me, Roman interrupted, his voice dropping to something dangerous. He's bleeding out while you shuffle paperwork. Get me your best surgeon. That's when I noticed the 3rd man, half supported between Roman's bodyguards, his shirt soaked with blood, his face pale with shock. Gunshot wound. Of course. My feet were moving before my brain caught up, carrying me down the corridor toward them. Professional instinct overriding self-preservation. I'll take him, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Trauma 3 is open. I'll get Dr. Chen. Roman's head snapped toward me at the sound of my voice. Our eyes met across the distance, and I watched recognition flash across his face. His expression shifted from commanding to shocked, to something I couldn't quite read in the space of a heartbeat. Riley, he said, my name rough in his mouth. The same way he'd said it that night, with his hands in my hair and his body moving against mine. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Could only stare at him while the world tilted sideways, and 4 months of carefully constructed defenses crumbled to dust. You know each other? The administrative nurse asked, glancing between us with confusion. No, I said at the same time Roman said, yes, His eyes narrowed. We need to talk. I need to help your friend, I countered, forcing myself into professional mode. It was the only way I'd survive this. Jen, call Dr. Chen. Tell him we have a GSW, chest cavity, active bleeding. Prep trauma 3. I moved toward the injured man, deliberately not looking at Roman, though I could feel his gaze on me like a physical touch. We got the patient into trauma 3, got him stabilized, got Dr. Chen working on him. Through it all, I was hyper-aware of Roman's presence just outside the door, watching through the window, those dark eyes tracking my every movement. By the time Dr. Chen had the patient stable enough to move to surgery, my hands were shaking and my stomach was churning again. Good work, Morgan, Dr. Chen said as we wheeled the patient toward the elevator. You okay? You look pale. Fine, I lied. Just a long shift. I turned to leave, to escape, to get as far away from Roman Valenti as possible, before I did something stupid like cry or scream, or tell him exactly what I thought of men who made you believe in fairy tales, and then turned out to be engaged to someone else. But he was there, blocking my path, his large frame filling the corridor. Riley, he said again, we need to talk, now. I'm working, I said, trying to step around him. His hand shot out, not grabbing me, but creating a barrier. Please. The please undid me. This powerful man, who clearly commanded rooms and scared administrative staff, was saying please. 5 minutes, I said. The family consultation room, down the hall on the left. I led him there, my heart hammering, my mind racing. What could he possibly want to say? Was he going to ask me not to tell anyone about our night together? Was he going to offer me money to keep quiet about? Oh, God. Did he know? I looked down at my scrubs, at the way the fabric hung loose over my barely there bump. He couldn't possibly know. I'd been so careful. The consultation room was small and private, designed for delivering bad news to families. It felt appropriate. Roman closed the door behind us with a soft click. In the enclosed space, I could smell his cologne, something woody and expensive that brought back memories of tangled sheets and whispered words. 4 months, he said, his voice low. You disappeared for 4 months. I didn't disappear, I said, lifting my chin. I went home. You weren't there. You left a note. I had an emergency. I left my number. You left a lot of things out, I shot back. Like the fact that you were engaged. His jaw tightened. That's not what you think. Really? I laughed, the sound bitter. Because I think you're a man who sleeps with random women while his fiancée plans their wedding. I think you're exactly the kind of man I should have known better than to trust. And I think this conversation is over. I moved toward the door, but he stepped in front of it. Riley, please, just listen. No. My voice broke. I don't want to hear it. I don't want your explanations or your excuses or whatever lies you've prepared. I want you to leave me alone. I can't do that. Why not? I demanded, anger finally overtaking fear and heartbreak. What could you possibly want from me? We had one night. One. It's done. It's over. Go back to your fiancé and your perfect life and forget I exist. I've tried, he said roughly. I've tried every day for 4 months to forget you. The way you tasted, the sounds you made, the way you looked at me like I was worth something more than my last name and my bank account. I've tried, Riley, and I can't. His words hit me like a physical blow. I wanted to believe them. God, I wanted to believe them so badly. But I'd learned my lesson about believing in things that were too good to be true. I'm sure your fiancé would love to hear that, I said coldly. The engagement is business, he said, moving closer. Political alliance. My family's interests, and Senator Morrison's influence. It was arranged before I even met you. Then end it. I'm trying. His hand came up, almost touching my face before he caught himself. But these things are complicated. There are agreements, contracts, expectations. Stop. I held up a hand. Just stop. I don't care about your complications or your political alliances or whatever excuse you're about to give. I've spent 4 months getting over you. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Getting over me, he repeated, his eyes searching mine. Is that what you're doing? Yes. Then why do you look like you're about to cry? Because I am, I thought. Because seeing you again hurts worse than I thought possible. Because I'm carrying your child and I can never tell you. I'm tired, I said instead. It's been a long shift. He studied me for a long moment, and I saw the exact second his gaze dropped to my body, taking in the loose scrubs, the pallor of my skin, the dark circles under my eyes. Are you sick? He asked, concern bleeding through his controlled exterior. No. Riley, your friend is going into surgery, I interrupted, desperate to end this before he saw too much, guessed too much. You should be there. I need to get back to work. I reached for the door handle, but his hand covered mine. The contact sent electricity through me, muscle memory of that night making my body react even as my mind screamed at me to run. This isn't over, he said quietly. I will find a way to fix this, to fix us. There is no us, I whispered. There never was. I pulled my hand free and walked out, leaving him standing in that small room with his broken promises and his complicated life. I made it to the staff bathroom before the tears came, made it into a stall before my legs gave out, made it through the rest of my shift on autopilot, avoiding the corridors where I might run into him again. But I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that Roman Valenti had just walked back into my life. And this time, he wasn't going to let me go. I thought avoiding Roman Valenti would be simple. The hospital was huge. His world and mine barely overlapped. And if I kept my head down and stuck to my schedule, our paths wouldn't cross again. I was wrong. The first sign came the next morning. I arrived for my shift to find a massive bouquet of white roses waiting at the nurse's station, my name on the card in elegant script. Someone has an admirer, Jen said, waggling her eyebrows. Secret boyfriend? No. I plucked the card from the flowers without opening it and threw it in the trash. Just someone who doesn't understand the word no. But the roses kept coming. Every day for a week. Always white. Always extravagant. Always with a card I didn't read before tossing it. On the 8th day, the roses were accompanied by something else. A donation announcement posted in the staff break room. Roman Valenti had donated $5 million to St. Catherine's Emergency Department for equipment upgrades, staff bonuses, and facility improvements. Can you believe it? Jen gushed, reading the announcement over my shoulder. $5 million. Just like that. They're saying he's never donated to a hospital before. Why do you think he chose us? I knew exactly why. And it made my blood boil. The roses stopped after that, but the evidence of Roman's presence didn't. A new MRI machine arrived, top of the line. The staff lounge was renovated, complete with massage chairs and a fancy espresso machine. Our supply budget tripled overnight. He was buying his way into my workplace, making himself indispensable, ensuring everyone at St. Catherine's would sing his praises. It was calculated, strategic, and it was working. That Valenti guy is a saint, one of the older nurses said during a break. Did you hear he personally paid off the medical debt for 3 families from our patient list? Just forgave it all. I said nothing, just sipped my tea and tried to ignore the churning in my stomach that had nothing to do with pregnancy. 2 weeks after our encounter, I was leaving the hospital after a night shift when I noticed the car. A sleek black SUV with tinted windows, parked across the street with a clear view of the employee exit. I'd seen it before, I realized. 3 times this week. Always in the same spot. Always occupied. Though I couldn't see the driver through the dark glass. My heart rate kicked up as I walked to the bus stop, hyper-aware of the vehicle behind me. When the bus arrived and I climbed aboard, the SUV pulled into traffic, following at a discreet distance. He was having me followed. I got off 2 stops early and ducked into a corner store, watching through the window as the SUV glided past, then circled back. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and finally called the number from that note 4 months ago. He answered on the first ring. "Riley." "Call off your dogs," I said without preamble. "Stop having me followed. I need to know you're safe." His voice was maddeningly calm. "I'm perfectly safe. I was perfectly safe before you decided to insert yourself into my life." "Were you?" Something sharp entered his tone. "Because from what I've learned, you walk home alone at 2 a.m. through neighborhoods where 3 muggings happened last month. You live in a building with a broken security door, and a landlord who ignores your complaints about the man in 3C, who follows you with his eyes every time you pass." Ice slid down my spine. "How do you know about—" "I know everything about you, Riley." His voice dropped lower, intimate and possessive. "I know you take the bus because your car broke down 6 weeks ago, and you can't afford to fix it. I know you've been picking up extra shifts to save money. I know you eat the same lunch every day, turkey sandwich and an apple, because it's cheapest. I know you're struggling, and I know why." My breath caught. "What do you mean you know why?" Silence stretched between us, loaded with meaning. "Meet me," he said finally. "Tonight. I'll send a car." "No, Riley." I said no. Stop the donations, stop the flowers, stop having me followed, and stop pretending you have any right to know anything about my life. We had one night, Roman. That doesn't give you ownership. Doesn't it? The dangerous edge was back. One night where you gave yourself to me completely. One night where I made you scream my name. One night that neither of us can forget, no matter how hard we try. Heat flooded through me at the memory, my body betraying me even as my mind screamed at me to hang up. "You're engaged," I said, my voice shaking. "To someone else. Whatever we had, it's done. The engagement is ending. I'm meeting with Senator Morrison tomorrow to dissolve the arrangement." My heart stuttered. "You're lying." "I don't lie to you, Riley. I never have." He paused. "The engagement was always political, always temporary. It served its purpose. But it's becoming a complication I no longer need. Because of me." "Because of you," he confirmed. "Because 4 months ago, I met a woman who looked at me and saw a man instead of a name or a bank account. Because I can't stop thinking about her. Because I made a mistake walking away that morning. And I'm not making that mistake again." I closed my eyes, pressing my free hand against my stomach where his child grew. "It's too late, Roman." "It's not. It can't be." Desperation crept into his voice, the first crack in his controlled exterior. "Riley, please, just talk to me. Let me explain everything. I have to go." I disconnected before he could finish, before I could give in to the part of me that wanted to believe him, wanted to trust him, wanted to fall into his arms and let him fix everything. But men like Roman Valenti didn't fix things. They owned them. I made it home, hyper-aware of the SUV still following at a distance. When I reached my building, I looked back and saw it parked half a block down, a silent guardian I didn't want and couldn't escape. Inside my apartment, I locked the door and leaned against it, my hand pressed to my stomach. "Your father is insane," I whispered to the baby. "Absolutely insane." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "The man in 3C won't bother you anymore. He's been relocated. Your landlord will fix the security door tomorrow." along with everything else you've reported. Your car is being repaired and will be returned by Friday. And whether you like it or not, Marcus will continue to keep watch until I'm certain you're safe. R. I stared at the message, torn between gratitude and fury. He was steamrolling over my life, making decisions without asking, fixing problems I hadn't asked him to fix. Another text arrived. I know you're angry, but I also know you're scared, though you won't admit it. Let me protect you, Riley. It's all I'm asking. I typed and deleted 3 different responses before finally settling on, you don't get to decide what I need. His response was immediate. Then tell me what you need. Ask me for anything, and it's yours. I shouldn't respond. I should block his number, file a restraining order, do something to put distance between us. Instead, I typed, I need you to tell me the truth. About everything. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, tomorrow, 7 p.m. I'll send a car. Please, Riley, give me a chance to explain. I should say no. I knew I should say no. But I was tired of being alone, tired of being scared, tired of wondering if maybe, just maybe, there was more to Roman Valenti than tabloid headlines and political maneuvering. 1 chance, I typed. That's all you get. That's all I need. I set my phone down and moved to the window, pulling back the curtain just enough to see the SUV still parked below. Marcus, Roman had called him, my unwanted bodyguard. As I watched, the window rolled down briefly, and I caught a glimpse of the man inside, broad-shouldered, professional, clearly ex-military. He lifted a hand in a small wave, acknowledging that he knew I was watching. Despite everything, I felt safer knowing he was there. I hated that I felt that way. Hated that Roman's protection was already wrapping around me like a warm blanket. Hated that part of me wanted to give in, to let him take care of everything, to stop fighting so hard just to survive. But survival was all I'd known since my parents died. I'd built my life on independence, on not needing anyone, on being strong enough to stand alone. Now Roman was offering to stand with me, or maybe in front of me, shielding me from everything, including my own choices. My phone buzzed again. Not a text this time, but a news alert. Breaking. Valenti Morrison engagement in jeopardy. Sources close to billionaire Roman Valenti suggest the high-profile engagement to Senator Morrison's daughter may be ending. Representatives declined to comment. He hadn't been lying. He was really doing it, ending his engagement. For me. The realization sent my head spinning. What did that mean? What did he expect from me? What did I want from him? I didn't know, but tomorrow I'd find out. I changed into my nightgown and climbed into bed, one hand resting on my barely there bump. Tomorrow I'd hear his truth, and then I'd have to decide what to do with my own. Whatever happens, I whispered to the baby, I'll protect you, even from him if I have to. But as I drifted towards sleep, I couldn't shake the feeling that Roman Valenti wasn't the kind of man you protected yourself from. He was the kind of man who destroyed anyone who tried to take what was his, and somehow, without meaning to, I'd become his. The question was, could I survive being owned by a man like him? Or would I lose myself completely in the process? The car Roman sent wasn't the SUV I'd seen following me. It was a sleek black Mercedes with leather seats that probably cost more than my yearly salary, driven by an older man who introduced himself as Vincent and treated me with a deference that made me uncomfortable. Mr. Valenti asked me to assure you that you're in complete control this evening, Vincent said, as we pulled away from my building. If at any point you wish to leave, I'll take you home immediately. No questions asked. The thoughtfulness of it, giving me an escape route, making sure I felt safe, made my chest tight. This was the Roman from that night 4 months ago. The one who'd ask permission before every touch. Who'd made sure I was comfortable. Who'd held me afterward like I was something precious. I'd almost forgotten that version of him existed beneath the commanding billionaire who'd steamrolled into my life. We drove through the city as dusk settled over the skyline, eventually pulling up to a building I recognized from the tabloids. Valenti Tower, the crown jewel of Roman's real estate empire, 50 stories of steel and glass that dominated the waterfront. "Top floor," Vincent said, guiding me to a private elevator that required a key card. "Mr. Valenti is waiting." The elevator was all mirrors and soft lighting, and I caught sight of myself as we ascended. I'd changed 3 times before settling on simple jeans and a flowing blouse that hid my small bump. I'd left my hair down because I remembered the way Roman had tangled his fingers in it that night, the way he'd whispered that it felt like silk. I hated that I remembered, hated that I'd chosen my outfit with him in mind. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that stole my breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, the last rays of sunlight painting everything gold. The space was masculine but not cold. Dark wood, leather furniture, artwork that looked original and expensive. And there, standing by the windows with his back to me, was Roman. He'd changed from the suit I'd seen him in at the hospital. Now he wore dark slacks and a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle. His dark hair was slightly mussed, as though he'd been running his hands through it. "Thank you, Vincent," he said without turning. "That will be all." The elevator doors closed behind me, and we were alone. Roman turned slowly, and the impact of his full attention hit me like a physical force. Those dark eyes swept over me, lingering on my face, my body, drinking in every detail. "You came," he said, and I heard genuine relief in his voice. "I wasn't sure you would. You said you'd tell me the truth." I stayed near the elevator, maintaining distance. "I'm here to listen, that's all." "That's enough." He moved toward a bar cart. "Can I offer you something to drink? Water, juice, tea?" The fact that he didn't offer alcohol, that he seemed to know somehow that I wasn't drinking, sent a chill through me. "Water is fine." He poured 2 glasses, brought one to me, careful not to invade my space. Up close, I could see the fine lines of tension around his eyes, the shadow of exhaustion beneath his controlled exterior. "You look tired," I said before I could stop myself. A faint smile touched his lips. "I haven't slept well in 4 months. Not since I woke up in that hotel room and you were gone." The reminder of that morning sent heat through me. I'd woken wrapped around him, our legs tangled, his arm heavy and warm across my waist. For a few perfect moments before consciousness fully returned, I'd felt safe, cherished, like I belonged. Then I'd seen the note, read his apology for leaving early, his promise to call, found his number written in bold, confident script. I'd left before he could return, shame already burning through me. What kind of woman slept with a stranger? What kind of desperate, lonely person gave herself so completely to someone she'd known for mere hours? "Why did you leave without calling?" Roman asked, as though reading my thoughts. "I came back an hour later. You were gone. No note, no message. Just your scent on my sheets and the memory of how you said my name." I was embarrassed, I admitted. "It wasn't. I don't do things like that. One-night stands with strangers in hotel rooms. I don't even know what came over me." "I do." He set his glass down. "The same thing that came over me. Recognition. Recognition of something we both needed." He took a careful step closer. "I saw you at that bar, sitting alone with a book and a glass of wine, looking like you were trying to disappear into the corner. And I couldn't look away. Couldn't stop wondering what had put that sadness in your eyes, what it would take to make you smile. I remembered that night with painful clarity. It had been the anniversary of my parents' death, and I'd gone to a hotel bar, because I couldn't stand being alone in my apartment with my grief. I'd brought a book I wasn't reading, ordered wine I wasn't drinking, and tried to pretend I was fine. Then, Roman had appeared, asked if the seat next to me was taken, started talking about the book I was holding, a collection of poetry I'd bought that afternoon on impulse. "You quoted Neruda," I said softly. "Love is so short, forgetting is so long. And you said it was the saddest, beautiful truth you'd ever heard." His voice roughened. "I wanted to take that sadness away, even just for one night. I wanted to make you forget whatever was hurting you." "You did." The admission escaped before I could stop it. "For those hours with you, I forgot everything except how you made me feel. Like I mattered. Like I was seen. You are, another step closer. Riley, I need you to understand something. That night wasn't casual for me. It wasn't some forgettable encounter. It was the first time in my adult life I'd been with someone who wanted me instead of what I could provide. How could you possibly know that? We just met. Because you didn't know who I was." A bitter smile crossed his face. "You didn't recognize my name, didn't ask about my business, didn't angle for an introduction to my connections. You just talked to me about poetry and pain and the way grief sits in your chest like a stone you can't swallow." He was right. I hadn't known he was the Roman Valenti until I saw the tabloid weeks later. To me, he'd just been a beautiful stranger with kind eyes who'd made me feel less alone. "Then why didn't you tell me about your engagement?" The hurt bled into my voice. "Why let me think?" "Because the engagement means nothing," he interrupted. "It's a business arrangement. Senator Morrison wanted access to my resources and connections. My family wanted his political influence. His daughter Victoria wanted the Valenti name and bank account. Everyone got what they wanted. Except you? I got a pretty face at charity events and a political alliance I've since discovered I don't need." He moved closer still, now just an arm's length away. "The arrangement was made years ago, when I was too young and too focused on building my empire to care about things like love or companionship. It was supposed to be announced 6 months ago, but I kept delaying, making excuses, telling myself I just needed more time. Why? Because something in me knew it was wrong, that I was locking myself into a life of calculated transactions when somewhere out there might be something real." His hand lifted, hovering near my face but not touching. "Then I met you, and I knew what I'd been waiting for. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. If that's true, why did you let them announce the engagement 2 weeks after our night together?" Pain flashed across his face. "My father had a heart attack. Mild, but enough to terrify him into pushing for the wedding to happen quickly. He wanted to see me settled before—" Roman's jaw tightened. "Before anything else could happen to him." I tried to explain that I'd met someone, that I needed time, but he insisted. Said a deal was a deal, that Valentis keep their word. "So you chose your family's expectations over—" I couldn't finish. "Over what? We'd had one night. That wasn't a relationship, wasn't a promise. I chose to honor an obligation while I figured out how to find you again," he corrected. "You'd disappeared, Riley. No last name, no phone number, no way to contact you. I had my people searching for months. Every Riley in the city. Every new hire at every hospital. Wait. My mind caught on something. You were looking for me? For months? Since the day after I found you gone from that hotel room." His voice was fierce. "Do you think I could forget you? That I could touch another woman, kiss another woman, when the taste of you was burned into my memory? But the pictures in the tabloids, staged, required. Part of maintaining the fiction of an engagement I was already working to dissolve. He finally touched me, his fingers gentle on my cheek. I haven't been with anyone since you, Riley. Haven't wanted anyone since you. The confession made my breath catch. Roman, tell me you feel it too, he demanded, his thumb tracing my lower lip. Tell me these 4 months have been as much hell for you as they've been for me. Tell me I'm not alone in this madness. I should pull away, should create distance, should protect myself and my baby from this dangerous man who was looking at me like I was oxygen and he was drowning. Instead, I whispered, "You're not alone." The words seemed to break something in him. He pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me, his face buried in my hair. "I thought I'd lost you," he said roughly. "When I saw you at the hospital, for a moment I thought I'd imagined you, that I'd wanted to find you so badly I'd started hallucinating." I let myself lean into him, just for a moment, breathing in his scent, cedar and bergamot and something uniquely Roman. My body remembered this, the way we fit together, the safety of his arms. Then reality crashed back. I pulled away, putting distance between us. "This doesn't change anything," I said, even though it changed everything. "You're still engaged. I'm still..." I caught myself before saying pregnant. "I'm still trying to build a life. We can't just pick up where we left off." "Why not?" "Because it's not that simple. You can't just buy your way into my life with hospital donations and car repairs and bodyguards." "I can," he interrupted. "And I will, because that's what you do when you love someone. You protect them. You make their life easier. You remove every obstacle between them and happiness." Love. The word hung in the air between us, impossible and terrifying. "You don't love me," I said. "You don't even know me. I know you bite your lower lip when you're thinking. I know you hum while you work, old songs your mother used to sing. I know you're afraid of being a burden, so you never ask for help even when you're drowning. I know you're carrying my child." The world stopped spinning. "What?" I breathed. His eyes held mine, dark and certain. "You're pregnant, Riley, with my baby, and you were going to face it alone rather than tell me." The blood drained from my face. My hand moved instinctively to my stomach, protective, possessive. "How?" My voice came out as barely a whisper. "How did you know?" Roman's expression softened, though his eyes remained intense. "The day at the hospital. You were wearing scrubs a size too large. You couldn't stand the smell of blood. You were exhausted, pale, nauseous. And when I said we needed to talk, your hand went here." He gestured to my abdomen. Protective, unconscious. The way expectant mothers touch themselves when they're thinking about their baby. I stumbled backward until my legs hit the sofa, and I sat down hard. "That's not. You can't possibly know for certain from just..." I had my doctor review the symptoms. Then I had someone check with your insurance company. At my sharp intake of breath, he continued. "You had your first prenatal appointment 8 weeks ago. You're 16 weeks pregnant, due in late April. And the violation of my privacy should have enraged me. Instead, I felt strangely relieved that the secret was finally out, that I didn't have to carry it alone anymore." "You had no right," I said. But there was no heat in it. I had every right. He moved to sit beside me, close but not touching. "The moment you conceived my child, I had a right to know. A right to protect both of you. A right to be part of this. It's not your child." The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. I was seeing someone else. The timing. "Don't." His voice went hard. "Don't lie to me, Riley. Not about this. I know the baby is mine. And you know it too. I closed my eyes, defeated. How long have you known? I suspected at the hospital, confirmed it 3 days later. His hand found mine, his fingers threading through mine with careful tenderness. I've known for almost 2 weeks that I'm going to be a father, that you were facing this alone. Do you have any idea how that felt? Knowing you were carrying my child and planning to shut me out completely? You were engaged! I pulled my hand free, anger finally breaking through. What was I supposed to do? Call you up and say, hey, remember that one-night stand? Surprise, you're going to be a daddy? How do you think that conversation would have gone? I would have ended the engagement immediately. I would have brought you here, taken care of you, made sure you had everything you needed. His jaw tightened. Instead, you've been working 12-hour shifts on your feet, living in an apartment with mold in the bathroom and a broken heater, eating vending machine food because you're too tired to cook. How do you know about the mold? But even as I asked, I knew. You've been in my apartment. Marcus did a full inspection. The conditions aren't suitable for a pregnant woman. He stood, pacing to the windows. You're moving out. Today. I've already had a penthouse prepared for you. It's 3 blocks from the hospital, fully furnished, with a nursery that... No. I stood too, my hands clenched into fists. I'm not moving into some penthouse you've prepared. I'm not some doll you can just install in a fancy apartment and control. He turned to face me, his expression dangerous. You're carrying my child, Riley, my heir. Do you understand what that means? In my world, in my family, an heir is everything. The continuation of the bloodline, the future of the empire. I will not have my son or daughter raised in poverty. I'm not impoverished. I have a job, an apartment. You have a job that exhausts you to the point of collapse, and an apartment that should be condemned. He moved toward me, his presence overwhelming. Be reasonable. I have resources. Let me use them to take care of you and our child. In exchange for what? I challenged. My freedom? My choices? My body? Something flickered in his eyes. I would never force you into anything, Riley. But I am asking. No, I'm begging for you to let me be part of this. Let me take care of you. Let me prove that I can be the father our child deserves. The rawness in his voice cracked something in my defenses. I don't even know if you're capable of being a father. You run a criminal empire. Allegedly. But he didn't deny it. My business dealings are complicated, yes. Some operate in gray areas, but my child will want for nothing. Will be protected by resources you can't imagine. Will have opportunities you could never provide alone. The truth of it stung. So I'm just supposed to hand over my baby to you? Let you raise them in your world of violence and danger? No. He closed the distance between us, his hands framing my face. We raised them together, you and me, as partners. He hesitated. As husband and wife, if you'll have me. I jerked away from his touch. You can't be serious. We barely know each other. We've spent one night together. One. A night that created a life. His hands dropped to his sides. Riley, I know this is fast. I know it's not conventional. But in my world, family is everything. And you're carrying my family. That makes you family too. Your fiancé might have something to say about that. As of this morning, there is no engagement. He pulled out his phone, showed me a statement from Senator Morrison's office. The arrangement has been dissolved by mutual agreement. Victoria is already being photographed with a European duke who's much better suited to her tastes. Everyone got what they wanted. I stared at the screen, my mind reeling. You actually did it. Ended your engagement. I told you I would. He put the phone away. I don't lie to you, Riley. I never will. Even when the truth is ugly, even when it scares you, I will always be honest. Then be honest now. I met his eyes. What do you really want from me? He was quiet for a long moment, his gaze searching mine. Then he spoke, his voice low and intense. I want you to move into the penthouse I've prepared. I want you to quit the hospital, at least until after the baby is born. I want you to let me take care of every need, every want, every fear. I want to be there for every doctor's appointment, every ultrasound, every moment of this pregnancy. He moved closer, his hand settling gently on my stomach. I want to feel our baby kick for the first time. I want to hold your hair when you're sick and rub your feet when they ache. I want to build a nursery with you and argue about names and prepare for our child together. His thumb traced a gentle circle over the small bump. And when the baby is born, I want us to be a family, a real family. Not because of obligation or arrangement, but because we choose it. Because we want it. Because what we created that night was more than just a child. It was a future. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I'm scared. I know. He pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me and our baby. But you don't have to be scared alone anymore. Let me carry some of that fear. Let me be strong enough for both of us. What if I can't give you what you want? What if I can't be the kind of woman who fits into your world? You already fit. His lips found my forehead. You fit perfectly. You're the only real thing in my life, Riley. Everything else is business and strategy and calculated moves. But you make me feel human again. I let myself lean into him, just for a moment, feeling the solid strength of his body, the steady beat of his heart, the warmth of his arms around me. I need time, I said finally. I can't just give you everything you're asking for. I need to think. How much time? I don't know. A few days. A week. I pulled back to look at him. And I need you to respect my boundaries. No more investigations. No more showing up at my work. No more controlling my life without asking. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. 1 week. I'll give you space to think. But Marcus stays. Non-negotiable. Your safety and the baby's safety come first. Fine. I could live with a bodyguard if it bought me breathing room. And the penthouse? At least look at it before you decide. Please. He caught my hand. It's ready for you, whenever you want it. No pressure, no obligations, just an option. I wanted to refuse outright, but the thought of my apartment with its mold and broken heater, the exhaustion of my shifts, the constant worry about money, it all pressed down on me until I could barely breathe. I'll look at it, I conceded, but I'm not promising anything. That's all I ask. He lifted my hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles. Thank you, Riley, for listening, for considering, for carrying our child. Our child. The words sent a shiver through me, equal parts fear and something else. Something that felt dangerously close to hope. I should go, I said. I have an early shift tomorrow. Not anymore. At my sharp look, he held up a hand. I didn't do anything. But I spoke with Dr. Martinez this afternoon. He's concerned about you working such long hours while pregnant. He wanted to reduce your schedule but was worried about the financial impact. So I made a donation specifically designated for paid leave for pregnant staff members. You'll receive your full salary while working reduced hours, or none at all if you prefer. I should have been angry, should have raged at him for interfering again, but all I could feel was bone-deep relief. Reduced hours, I said. I still want to work. I just need it to be sustainable. Whatever you want. He touched my face, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. Vincent will take you home. And Riley? Yes? I meant what I said. I'm going to prove to you that I can be the man you need, the father our child deserves, whatever it takes, however long it takes. As I rode the elevator down, my hand resting on my stomach, I let myself imagine it. A life where I wasn't alone, where someone else helped carry the weight, where my child had a father who wanted them, who would protect them, who would love them fiercely. It was dangerous to hope. I'd learned that lesson too many times. But as Marcus followed my car home, as I climbed the stairs to my apartment and saw that the security door had been fixed just as Roman promised, I felt something unfamiliar blooming in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to do this alone anymore. And maybe that wasn't surrender. Maybe it was strength. The strength to accept help when I needed it. The strength to give Roman a chance to prove himself. The strength to believe that sometimes fairy tales could be real. Even if the prince was more dangerous than charming. Even if the happy ending was wrapped in complications and control and the dark promises of a man who claimed me as his. I touched my stomach, feeling the slight swell where our baby grew. Your daddy is terrifying, I whispered. But maybe, just maybe, he's also exactly what we need. The penthouse Roman had prepared wasn't just beautiful. It was a love letter written in marble and glass. I went to see it 3 days after our conversation, telling myself I was just looking, just considering options. Marcus drove me there in the morning, and the moment I stepped inside, I knew I was in trouble. Floor-to-ceiling windows flooded the space with natural light. The kitchen had every appliance I'd ever dreamed of. The master bedroom had a bathroom with a soaking tub that could easily fit 2 people. And the nursery destroyed me. Soft gray walls, white furniture that looked like it belonged in a magazine, a rocking chair positioned near windows overlooking the city. But it was the small touches that broke through my defenses. A mobile of stars and moons hanging over the crib. A bookshelf already filled with children's classics. A framed print on the wall that read, "You are my sun, my moon, and all my stars." Mr. Valenti picked everything himself, the building manager said, hovering in the doorway. Spent hours getting it just right. Said he wanted it to be perfect for his... She caught herself. For the baby. I ran my fingers over the crib rail, smooth and sturdy, imagining a tiny person sleeping there. Roman's child. Our child. "I'll take it," I heard myself say. The words were out before I could take them back. The manager beamed, already pulling out paperwork, and I signed in a daze, committing myself to something I didn't fully understand. I moved in 2 days later. Roman sent movers who packed my entire apartment in under 3 hours, and suddenly I was living in luxury I'd never imagined. A doorman who greeted me by name. A concierge who asked how I was feeling. A space that felt more like home after one night than my old apartment had in 2 years. Roman gave me space, just as he'd promised. No visits, no pressure. Just a text each morning asking how I was feeling, and another each night, wishing me sweet dreams. But his presence was everywhere. The fully stocked fridge that somehow always had exactly what I was craving. The prenatal vitamins that appeared on my counter with a note from my new doctor. The best in the city, naturally. The car service that was available whenever I needed it, but felt more like a gilded leash. I should have felt trapped. Instead, I felt cherished. Then, 2 weeks after moving in, everything changed. I was leaving a doctor's appointment, the 20-week ultrasound where I'd learned the baby was healthy and growing perfectly, when I noticed the car. Not Marcus's usual SUV, but a different vehicle, silver and nondescript, that had been behind us since we left the medical building. "Marcus," I said quietly, "are we being followed?" His eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, his expression hardening. "Yes, ma'am. Not one of ours." He picked up his phone, spoke in rapid Italian, then turned down a side street. The silver car followed. "Stay calm," Marcus said, his voice steady even as he accelerated. "I'm taking evasive action. Mr. Valenti has been notified." My heart hammered as Marcus navigated through traffic with practiced precision, but the silver car stayed with us. When we stopped at a red light, I made the mistake of looking back. The man in the passenger seat was staring directly at me, his expression cold and calculating. When our eyes met, he smiled, a predator's smile that made my blood run cold. Then he lifted his hand and made a gesture across his throat. A threat, clear and unmistakable. Marcus saw it too. The moment the light changed, he gunned the engine, weaving through traffic with controlled aggression. My hand went to my stomach, protective, terrified. "Who are they?" I gasped. "Castellanos." The name was a curse on Marcus's lips. Rival family. They've been looking for weaknesses in Mr. Valenti's operation. "And I'm the weakness," I whispered. "You're his priority," Marcus corrected, "which makes you a target." We lost them by running 2 red lights and ducking into an underground parking garage, but my hands were still shaking when we pulled up to my building. Roman was already there, pacing in the lobby like a caged panther. He took one look at my face and pulled me into his arms, his whole body tense with barely controlled fury. "Did they touch you?" His voice was deadly quiet. "No. Marcus lost them. But Roman, they knew. They knew about me, about the baby." His arms tightened around me. "Get her upstairs," he said to Marcus. "Full security sweep. I want men on every floor, cameras on every entrance. No one gets near her." "Roman, not now, Riley." He pulled back, his hands framing my face. "Right now, I need to make sure you're safe. Then we'll talk." An hour later, my penthouse was filled with serious men in dark suits, installing additional security measures and speaking in low, urgent voices. Roman stood by the windows, his phone pressed to his ear, his voice switching between English and Italian as he issued commands. I sat on the sofa, my hand on my stomach, trying to process what had just happened. Someone had threatened me. Threatened my baby. Because of Roman. "They're gone," Roman said, ending his call and coming to sit beside me. "Every single one of them. I've dispatched teams to handle the Castellano leadership. By morning, they'll understand what happens when they threaten what's mine." The casual way he spoke of violence should have terrified me. Instead, I felt something else. Relief. Gratitude. A dark satisfaction that someone was finally protecting me with everything they had. "What does that mean?" I asked. "Handle them? It means they'll receive a message they can't ignore." His hand found mine. "And they'll know that touching you, even looking at you wrong, means war. I don't want people to die because of me. They won't die because of you." His voice went hard. "They'll die because they made the mistake of thinking they could use you against me. That's on them, not you." I should have argued, should have insisted on a nonviolent solution. But when I closed my eyes, I saw that man smile, his throat-cutting gesture, and all I could feel was fear. "I'm scared," I admitted. "I know." He pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me and our baby. "But I promise you, Riley, no one will touch you. I'll burn this entire city to the ground before I let anyone hurt you or our child." The absolute conviction in his voice should have frightened me. Instead, it made me feel safe in a way I'd never felt before. "Is this what life with you is like?" I asked. "Constant danger? Always looking over my shoulder?" "It won't be constant," he said. "Once the Castellanos understand the cost of targeting you, once the other families see how I protect what's mine, the threats will stop. They'll know better than to come near you. And until then? Until then, you're under my protection 24 hours a day." He pulled back to look at me, which means I'm moving in. My eyes widened. What? I can't protect you from across town, Riley. I need to be here, with you, making sure nothing and no one can reach you. His jaw set in a stubborn line. I'm not asking permission. This is non-negotiable. You can't just move into my apartment. Our apartment, he corrected. I own the building, and you're carrying my child. That gives me every right to be here. I wanted to argue, wanted to insist on boundaries and independence and all the things I'd been fighting for. But the truth was, I'd never felt safer than I did in his arms. And our baby deserved that safety more than I deserved my pride. Fine, I said. But you sleep in the guest room. And we established some ground rules. A slow smile crossed his face. Whatever you want, Tesoro. What does that mean, Tesoro? Treasure. His hand moved to my stomach, gentle and possessive. It's what you are to me. You and our baby. My most precious treasures. The endearment wrapped around my heart like a warm blanket. I was falling for him, I realized. Despite the danger, despite the complications, despite everything that said I should run, I was falling for Roman Valenti. And God help me, I didn't want to stop. That night, Roman moved in with a single bag. Everything else is being delivered tomorrow, he explained. I didn't want to overwhelm you. We established a routine quickly. He worked from home, taking calls in the second bedroom he'd converted to an office. I read, worked on my reduced schedule at the hospital with Marcus glued to my side, and tried to adjust to having another person in my space. It was strange and intimate and terrifying. Roman cooked breakfast every morning. Apparently his grandmother had taught him, and we ate together, talking about everything and nothing. He asked about my day, my appointments, how I was feeling. He told me about his business, the legitimate parts at least, and made me laugh with stories about the politicians and socialites he dealt with. At night, we sat on the sofa and watched movies, his hand often finding its way to my stomach, his face transforming with wonder every time the baby moved. She's strong, he said one evening, his palm pressed against a particularly vigorous kick. She's going to be a fighter. She? I raised an eyebrow. You're assuming it's a girl? Hoping, he corrected. A little girl with your eyes and your smile. Though a son would be equally perfect. We could find out, I offered, at the next ultrasound. They can tell us the sex. He was quiet for a moment. Do you want to know? I think so. It would make planning easier. Then we'll find out together. He lifted my hand to his lips. Everything about this baby, we do together. That's the deal. The deal. The strange arrangement we'd fallen into, somewhere between partnership and something more. The kiss he pressed to my knuckles lingered, and when I looked up, his dark eyes were intense, heated. Riley, he said, my name rough with desire. Roman, we can't. I know. But he didn't move away. I know you're not ready, that you don't trust me yet. But I need you to know. What I feel for you, it's not just about the baby. It's about you. The way you laugh at my terrible jokes. The way you hum while you cook. The way you challenge me when everyone else just agrees with whatever I say. His hand cupped my face, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. I'm falling in love with you, Riley Morgan. And I think you might be falling for me too. I should have denied it. Should have pushed him away. Should have protected my heart. Instead, I leaned into his touch and whispered, I'm terrified. So am I. His forehead rested against mine. I've never felt this way about anyone. Never wanted to give someone my whole world and trust them not to destroy it. But you make me want impossible things. Like what? Like a real family. Like love that isn't transactional. like growing old with someone who chose me, not my name or my money. His lips brushed mine, feather light. Like forever with you. The kiss was inevitable. We'd been building toward it since the moment he'd walked back into my life. When our mouths met, it felt like coming home. He kissed me like I was precious and powerful all at once. His hands gentle on my face, his mouth demanding but patient, waiting for me to meet him, to match him, to give him permission to take more. And I did. God help me, I did. I opened for him, my hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, his tongue sliding against mine, tasting, claiming, promising things that made me shiver with want. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes were nearly black with desire. "Bedroom," he growled. "Now, unless you tell me to stop." I should have told him to stop, should have remembered all my rules and boundaries and careful self-preservation. Instead, I took his hand and led him to my room, ready to surrender to the inevitable. Ready to let Roman Valenti claim me completely. Ready to admit that I was his, just as much as he was mine. And tomorrow, we'd face the consequences. Tonight, we'd just feel. The morning after we made love, I woke wrapped in Roman's arms. His hand possessively splayed across my stomach where our baby grew. Sunlight streamed through the windows, painting everything gold. And for a moment, one perfect, crystalline moment, I felt complete. Then my phone rang. Marcus's name flashed on the screen, and Roman was instantly alert, reaching for the phone before I could. "Talk," he said, his voice sharp. I watched his expression darken as he listened, his jaw tightening with barely controlled rage. "How many?" A pause. "Fuck. Lock down the building. I want everyone on alert." His eyes met mine. "She's not leaving this apartment. I don't care if the building burns down. No one gets to her." He ended the call and pulled me against him, his whole body tense. "What's happening?" I asked, fear creeping into my voice. "The Castellanos made their move. They hit 3 of my warehouses last night. Killed 2 of my men." His hand tightened on my hip. "And they left a message. They want to meet, tonight. They're demanding I bring you." Ice flooded my veins. "Me? Why?" "Because they know you're my weakness." His voice was deadly quiet. "They think threatening you will make me negotiate, make me give them what they want." "What do they want?" "Territory, power, everything I've built." He pulled back to look at me, his dark eyes fierce. "But they've made a critical mistake. They think I'll choose my empire over you." "Won't you?" I whispered. "No." The word was absolute. "I'll burn every building, sacrifice every alliance, destroy everything I've spent my life creating before I let them touch you. You and our baby, you're all that matters." The conviction in his voice made my chest tight. "Roman, you can't just... Watch me." He stood, already pulling on clothes, his movements sharp and efficient. "I'm ending this today. Permanently." "What does that mean?" He paused at the door, looking back at me. "It means I'm going to make them understand what happens when you threaten a Valenti's family. Stay here. Marcus and 6 other men are outside. Don't open the door for anyone except me." "Roman, I love you, Riley." The words stopped my breath. I should have said it last night, should have said it 1,000 times. But I'm saying it now. I love you. And I'm going to protect you. No matter what it costs. Then he was gone, and I was alone with my fear and the baby moving restlessly inside me. The hours crawled past. I tried to read, to watch TV, to do anything but imagine what Roman was doing. Marcus checked on me every 30 minutes, his face grim but reassuring. "He's the smartest man I know," Marcus said during one check-in. "And the most dangerous when someone he loves is threatened. The Castellanos don't stand a chance." I don't want him to die protecting me, I whispered. He won't die, ma'am, but they might. Marcus's expression was hard. Mr. Valenti doesn't make empty threats. If he says he'll burn the city down for you, he means it literally. Night fell. Still no word from Roman. I paced the apartment, my hand on my stomach, talking to the baby to keep myself calm. Your father is either the bravest man alive or the most reckless, I murmured. I haven't decided which. Then my phone rang. Roman's name. I answered instantly. Riley, his voice was rough, strained. I need you to listen very carefully. The Castellanos have changed the terms. They want the meeting to happen at the warehouse district, and they want you there. Absolutely not, I said immediately. I know, but they've made it clear. If you don't come, they'll start killing my men one by one until you do. He paused. I won't force you, but I need you to know. If you agree to this, I will keep you safe. I swear on my life, nothing will happen to you or our baby. I closed my eyes, my free hand on my stomach. What do you need me to do? 2 hours later, I was in the back of an SUV with Marcus and 3 other armed men, driving toward the warehouse district. Roman had wanted to keep me away, but the Castellanos had sent a video. One of Roman's men, bound and beaten, a gun to his head. 1 hour, the message had said. Bring the girl or he dies, then the next one, then the next. Roman had given me one last chance to back out. I'd refused. These men were dying because of me. I couldn't hide while they suffered. The warehouse was exactly as ominous as I'd imagined. Abandoned, surrounded by empty lots, perfect for violence no one would witness. Roman's cars were already there, a line of black SUVs like a defensive wall. Roman himself stood in front of them, flanked by a dozen armed men. When our car pulled up and I stepped out, his expression transformed from controlled fury to something close to anguish. You shouldn't be here, he said, pulling me behind him immediately. This isn't safe. Neither is letting people die for me. I gripped his arm. Let's just get this over with. The Castellanos emerged from the warehouse. 5 men, all armed, all radiating violence. The leader was older, silver-haired, with cold eyes that assessed me like merchandise. So this is the weakness, Marco Castellano said, his voice carrying across the space between us. The little nurse who brought the great Roman Valenti to his knees. Say another word about her and you die where you stand. Roman's voice was lethal. Marco laughed. Big threats from a man who's outnumbered. Am I? Roman's smile was terrifying. Look around, Marco. Really look. Red laser sights appeared on every Castellano soldier. Dots of light on their chests, their heads, their backs. There were snipers everywhere. On rooftops, in windows, hidden in shadows. I told you I'd burn the city down for her, Roman said softly. Did you think I was exaggerating? Every man you brought dies today. You die today. Unless you leave now and never speak her name again. Marco's confidence wavered. You wouldn't risk a war. I'm not risking anything. Roman's hand moved to his gun. I'm ending this. Your choice is how many of your men die with you. Then everything happened at once. One of the Castellano soldiers panicked, raising his weapon. Roman moved like lightning, his gun out and firing in one smooth motion. The man dropped. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, shouting, Marcus pulling me behind an SUV while Roman advanced on the Castellanos with terrifying efficiency. His men moved like a coordinated unit, taking down targets with precision while Roman went straight for Marco. I watched through the gap between vehicles as Roman grabbed Marco by the throat, slamming him against a wall. You threatened my family, Roman snarled. You put a target on the mother of my child. You made the last mistake of your life. Please, Marco gasped. We can negotiate. No. Roman's gun pressed against Marco's temple. We can't. The shot echoed through the warehouse district. Marco Castellano dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The remaining Castellano soldiers surrendered immediately, their hands raised, their weapons dropped. Roman's men secured them efficiently while Roman strode toward me, his face splattered with blood, his eyes wild. Are you hurt? His hands ran over me frantically, checking for injuries. Did anyone touch you? I'm fine. We're fine. I placed my hand over his, guiding it to my stomach where the baby was kicking furiously. She's fine too. He froze. She? The doctor called this morning with the results. I wanted to tell you when you got home, but... I laughed, slightly hysterical. We're having a daughter. Something cracked in his expression. He pulled me against him, his face buried in my hair, his whole body shaking. A daughter, he breathed. We're having a daughter. Are you disappointed? I know men like you usually want. Disappointed? He pulled back, his hands framing my face. Blood stained his fingers, but his touch was infinitely gentle. Riley, I just killed a man to protect our daughter's mother. I would kill 1,000 more to keep either of you safe. How could I possibly be disappointed? He kissed me then, fierce and desperate, tasting of violence and devotion. When we broke apart, sirens were wailing in the distance. We need to go, Marcus said quietly. Police are coming. Roman nodded, already leading me to the car. Clean this up, he instructed his men. Make sure there's nothing connecting us to what happened here. In the car, his hand found mine, threading our fingers together. I should be horrified, I said quietly. You just killed someone in front of me. But you're not. No. I looked at him, at this dangerous, violent man who'd just proven he'd do anything to protect our family. I'm relieved and grateful and absolutely certain that I love you. His breath caught. Say it again. I love you, Roman Valenti. I brought his hand to my lips, kissing his blood-stained knuckles. I love your ruthlessness and your protection, and the way you'd burn the world down for us. I love that you made me feel safe for the first time in my life. I love that our daughter will have a father who would kill to protect her. Marry me, he said urgently. Not because of the baby, not because it's convenient, but because I love you and I can't imagine my life without you in it. Yes, the answer came without hesitation. Yes, I'll marry you. He kissed me again, softer this time, reverent. I'll spend the rest of my life proving you made the right choice. 3 months later, Rosalie Marie Valenti entered the world screaming her outrage at 3:42 a.m. on a cold February morning. She had Roman's dark hair and my eyes, and from her first breath, she owned both of our hearts completely. Roman held her with a wonder that transformed his face. This dangerous man rendered absolutely gentle by 7 pounds of fury wrapped in pink. She's perfect, he whispered, tears streaming down his face. You're both perfect. I watched him with our daughter, this mob boss who'd killed to protect us, who'd destroyed an entire family to keep us safe, and I felt nothing but love. We should get married soon, I said drowsily, before she's old enough to object to her parents living in sin. He laughed, pressing a kiss to Rosalie's forehead, then mine. Next month. I've already planned everything. Just say yes. I already did, and I had. I'd said yes to this beautiful, terrifying life. Yes to loving a man who operated in shadows. Yes to raising our daughter as a princess in an empire built on blood and devotion. Because Roman had proven, in the most fundamental way, that he would protect us with everything he had, and that was worth more than any conventional life could offer. I love you, he murmured, his arm around me, our daughter cradled between us. My Riley, My queen. Mother of my child. I love you too, I whispered back. My Roman. My king. My always. Rosalie made a small noise, her tiny fist curling around Roman's finger with surprising strength. We were a family. Unconventional, complicated, built on violence and impossible circumstances. But we were ours, and that was everything.